Welcome to another episode of PEMDAS Master. Sure enough, we're going to teach you about absolute value graphs today. So, we start with this parent function, the absolute value of x. Simply, if the absolute value of 0 is 0, and the absolute value of 1 is 1. The absolute value of 2 is 2. And if I went the other direction, the absolute value of -1 is still 1, and the absolute value of -2 is 2. So you can see this V that you would get. So here we go. This was the chart that we just said. -2 was 2, -1 was 1, 0 was 0, 1 was 1, and 2 was 2. So based on this graph, from here we're just going to look at how this graph might move. If we saw a negative outside of the graph, then this same graph would start at 0, 0, but now it would go down. So this negative is a reflection over x axis. If we see a number inside of the absolute value, then instead of starting at 0, we're going to move 2. But it's always going to be the opposite. So it's always going to be the opposite. And we're looking at it going horizontal inside of. So instead of going +2, it's going to go -2, which is to the left. So we would start here at -2, and then we would go out and make our V. If we saw a number outside of the absolute value, then this is vertical. It's a vertical shift. So this is up 2. So instead of starting at 0, the graph would start up 2 and still do the same. If you see a number in front, let's say if we saw 4 in front of x, we should think of it as a fraction, 4 over 1. And this is our slope. You look at rise and you look at run. So if we're here at 0, instead of going over 1, up 1, we're going to go over 1 and up 4. And we'll do it the other way, over 1 and up 1. 4. And that would be our new graph. So that's what happens to your graph. Now, this is how we shift our graph. If we're looking at domain and range, let's talk about how that changes. Let's go back to this parent function of x, and we'll talk about our domain and range from there. Domain is always all real numbers, also known as -infinity to +infinity. Range always starts with your vertex. Well, it can end with it too, so look at your vertex. So if our vertex is 0, 0 here, we're looking at this y-coordinate of 0. So it's going to be 0 to +infinity. Now, look at this reflection graph right here. Since this is 0, 0, but it's going down, the range would have been -infinity first to 0. Finally, if we're looking at in behavior, we can see that it's going to be the same in both directions. We're going to go up to positive infinity on the left and to positive infinity on the right. So as x goes towards negative infinity, which is the left side, f of x is going up. And as x goes towards positive infinity, which is the right side, f of x is also going up to positive infinity. And that's how you solve absolute value graphs.